Sampear is tracking that story and joins us now in studio. Aldrin, I've been following your Twitter timeline, and one of the things you tweeted, ZANU-PF officials saying, we are ready for the inauguration this weekend.
Well, certainly. They say that according to the law in Zimbabwe, within 48 hours after the judgment, there must be the inauguration. The inauguration is set to take place at the National Sports Stadium. Remember that just days after the announcement of the election results, the inauguration date was set, but then it had to be called off because of the current petition that has been launched by Nelson Chamisa challenging the results of these elections.
So Nelson Chamisa of the MDC alliance, ZANU-PF, both of these role players equally confident of the Constitutional Court deciding in their favor.
Yeah, actually both of them. And just to tell you what's currently happening at the moment, we have Mpofu, who's representing Nelson Chamisa, responding to an application by at least three other respondents in this matter, why their submissions should be accepted or not submitted. One of those people is Noah Manyeki, who was also a presidential candidate, and he's supporting Nelson Chamisa's petition to this court and also making an argument of irregularities. One of the issues that the Chief Justice, for instance, has had is that why did you not file a notice in time within the 7 days that is permitted in terms of the court, in terms of the law of Zimbabwe, that when you have issues to raise with how the elections were run, you must do that within 7 days. And Mpofu's argument right now is that what the court shouldn't do is not take Noah's submission as an application. It's not an application, it's merely a supporting affidavit, and this is a supporting affidavit in the best interest of Nelson Chamisa. Two other candidates have also made their submission, and one interesting one is Aldrin Sampear, who was also a presidential candidate. While he is supporting Nelson Chamisa's application, he's making the argument, though, that the court should not grant him the relief that Nelson Chamisa be declared the president-elect of Zimbabwe.
Now, what's the latest on the issue of Dali Mpofu and advocate Ngcukaitobi being allowed to work in the country as assistants to this case?
We understand that no permit has been granted as yet to Dali Mpofu. There has been an urgent application to try and to persuade the court why they should be allowed to make their argument. But what we understand at the moment is while that application is still being looked at, they have been allowed to be inside court, and this is what I've been stressing throughout, that some people may see Ngcukaitobi as well as Dali Mpofu being inside the courtroom. That does not mean that they are working. However, though, they have been granted accreditation to be inside the courtroom, and if you look at the visuals, you'll also notice that they are not sitting close to the bench. However, though, they are sitting behind the bench, which is the public gallery. That's where they're sitting, meaning that they have been granted accreditation to be part of the members of the public observing the court case that is currently underway.
So they've been granted accreditation, but they've been denied work permits. Does this mean that they can still offer assistance?
This is the nitty-gritty, and someone will have to make the argument whether they...
I mean, even behind the scenes, can they be advising the MDC alliance behind the scenes?
I don't know whether they'll be doing that, because the other issue will then be, are they doing this pro bono?
Yeah.
Will they be paid? If they be paid, then that means that they actually be doing some work. Is this in contravention of the laws of Zimbabwe? And it said someone may make the argument that it certainly is. I'm not too sure what sort of role they will be playing now, since they haven't been giving this permission to be working as lawyers in the court.
Now, we know, Aldrin, just in the days after the election results, Nelson Chamisa, throughout the poll itself, was very confident that he would emerge as president-elect of Zimbabwe. And we saw the violence unfolding in the days after that. Given what unfolded back then, just a few weeks ago, and his continued confidence now, along with ZANU-PF's confidence as well, what's the risk of renewed violence?
Well, it's something that we have to wait and see how this unfolds. But there has been calls from the president's side as well that calm must remain, obviously from the police as well. And that's the reason why you have so many police officers stationed around the High Court as well as remaining on alert in Harare, just in case something of this nature does happen. Nelson Chamisa has always argued that he is not an advocate for violence or violent disruption. However, though, it is the right of Zimbabweans to go to the streets if they feel that they are aggrieved, and whether that deteriorates into violence is another issue. And that's the reason why you even had that court case, the arrest of Tembeka, MDC Alliance official as well, where the state has made the argument that Tembeka was inciting violence after declaring that Nelson Chamisa is the winner of these elections. But then, of course, the president then stepped in, and this is another issue that some people have raised. How does the president step in? And the president has confirmed on his Twitter timeline that he has stepped in and spoke to this state attorney general, and that's the reason why Tembeka was let off the hook.
Yeah, let's hope that the army is kept off the streets and kept out of the issue of maintaining peace on the streets of Zimbabwe.
And we still don't know who made the call for the army to be to go on the streets after these MDC Alliance members took to the streets to contest the election results.
So when are we expecting that the Constitutional Court will come out with a result? Do we have any idea of the time?
Well, according to the Constitution, if this is, again, if the Constitutional Court does accept that the MDC Alliance's application was within the 7-day timeline after the election results, which will be, of course, the 10th, then that means the Constitution then says that the Constitutional Court has 14 days to determine and make a judgment on such an application opposing the election results, which means that by Friday we should have an outcome.
Either way.
Either way. Yeah. I was speaking to a ZANU-PF official earlier on as well, and he was saying that they hope even that the Corn Court ruling could be out by tomorrow. This is quite interesting because even if you look at the advisory that has been issued by the Zimbabwean police indicate that there will be court proceedings today and tomorrow. But according to the lawyers, they only understand that the court hearing is only set down for today. So this might be some sort of indication that the court could make that ruling by tomorrow. And as this official has said, that by this weekend they will be inaugurating they will be inaugurating Emerson Mnangagwa if the court declares him the victor.
All right, well, you'll keep us updated as that story unfolds. Aldrin Sampear tracking that leg of the Zimbabwe elections and what's happened in the aftermath of those polls.